Now, Pavarotti was a good friend.
Hello, welcome to The Revealing. I'm your host, Pavarotti, and I'm here to discuss the Idaho 4 case. As a disclaimer, this channel is for entertainment purposes. These are my opinions, not here to slander anyone. Let's get started. So, after finishing my series on the motives, and I got a lot of feedback from a lot of great people for that video series. I'm still working on part 5 of the series I'm currently on, but I just can't help myself as I'm working on several things at once. Now, what y'all get to see is the final version of all of the work that I put into this case. What you don't see is the literal hours upon hours upon hours of investigating, researching, vetting that I do almost every single day. Even days when I don't really have the energy to do it because I've worked myself to death. But in the last couple of days, I had a little bit of extra time and I've spent it all researching. So even though I get quite a bit further than I'm able to show you in the videos that I present to you, I feel it's necessary from time to time just to kind of throw some stuff in there that I'm working on just to catch you up to where I'm at in my progression. So what I'm really focused on at the moment is digging in as deep as I possibly can to further the connections that I've made with some of the family members of the victims in this case and the perpetrators that I feel like are truly responsible for this atrocity. Because I'll go back to this every single time. When you look at an atrocity like this, I mean, these are 4 people taken out on 2 different floors of a house with others left unharmed. And the way that they're taken out is in a way that normal people wouldn't be able to accomplish. People with experience accomplished the atrocity on King Road, I assure you. Because it was done in, as far as we know, all of the available evidence shows that it was done in an extremely short amount of time with minimal noise, and it was done in a way that would imply somebody knew what they were doing. And when I say somebody, I mean multiple somebodies. Now, the natural progression in my mind is who has experience doing this. And I've said this many times. You do have to go to the penitentiaries to find individuals who have experience in unaliving people in this manner. I mean, if you're looking for an abundance of experience, that's where you would go. Now, you wouldn't take just any person that has been in prison. Not saying that anybody doesn't have the ability to shank somebody in a prison, but there's certain people in a prison who don't just have the ability to shank somebody, but they know how to do it. They have actually studied and they've put it into practice. And these are the type of individuals that you don't want to mess with. So with that in mind, when I look at the atrocity on King Road, I'm not just looking for a certain kind of perp. I'm looking for a certain kind of perp who has certain traits and experiences. And with all that being said, finding the connection between our victims, their families, and perpetrators like this is, not an easy thing to do. But I've managed to do a pretty fair job of it up to this point, and I continue to make the case even stronger as I go. So, with all that being said, let me show you where Well, let me show you this point to where I was at, to put it that way. Now, I believe I've done a pretty fair job at connecting the dots and making the connections between the members of the families of the victims and the groups that I feel like are responsible for the atrocity. But the way that I've done that is I've shown the back end relationships of the families to the group. Whenever we're dealing with trafficking, there's going to be two ends. There's going to be the finish line, there's going to be the starting line, and then of course you've got the movements in the middle. So I've done a pretty good job of the finish line in this thing, but now I've got to dig in a little bit deeper and find the starting point in the connections that exist there. And I'm very confident that those connections do exist, and I'm also very confident that with enough digging and prodding, I'll be able to find those and really finish up these connections. So what I want to do is I've done a little bit of research into all three, and in this video, I'm going to touch on one slightly, the other one a little bit more, and then I'm going to wrap the other one up in a bow for you because it was the easiest one to figure out. But we're going to start with the stepmother and the father of one of the victims in this atrocity. And we're going to talk about how we're going to find more connections as it relates to them. Now, a lot of times people tell me that I ignore some possible evidence and scenarios in the case. For example, Bubbly Waters, who I have a ton of respect for and I appreciate her work. I was watching a clip of a video from hers the other day, and she was making the case that I was missing a lot of things, and then she was bringing up some different things that I hadn't acknowledged, and I get her point with that. But whenever I'm investigating into this case, I try to stay away from any of the things that I'm not going to be able to verify at some point as best that I can. That's why you'll notice the majority of my investigation into this case and the majority of the facts that I present relate around arrests and arrest records, because that is something I'm going to be able to verify at some point, because it is a public arrest record. And whenever I'm dealing with people involved in criminal activity, well, it's pretty safe to say, regardless of the activity that they're involved in, they're going to be arrested or ticketed or something, usually for other crimes than the ones they're even committing. So being able to find that trail using arrest records and court records, I feel like is a more valid way to be able to gather information and infer from that, rather than looking at, possible Facebook posts or, somebody's son was in a fraternity with somebody else that lived at a house. I mean, that's good and all, but it's not something that's ever going to be able to be verified just because of connections made that way. The connections that I make in this, I feel like I can possibly verify them and verify them through public record. So with all that being said, when I look at the mother and the stepmother in the case, and I've mentioned that I believe that the connection to Spokane, Washington is what I'm focusing on now, and how do any of these people connect with Spokane? Well, these are the ones that I've dove into the least at this point as it relates to Coeur d'Alene and Spokane. But when I look at the father of one of the victims in the case, I can see that he has basically it's a criminal case, but in the district court, but it was really just a speeding ticket and an expired tag ticket. And then he got a couple of other speeding tickets or some type of driving infractions, but they were all in Spokane. And one of the things that I notice is, and these were all in 2020, or two of them were in 2020, one of them was in 2017. So actively going to the Spokane area around, at least around 2020 that we know of for sure. And the spot where he got this traffic ticket was, kind of a seedy looking area, if you look there on the map. So I'm not exactly sure what he was doing in this area, but, that's the kind of direction that I'm going for when looking for connections in this case. Stuff like this that I can verify. But we'll get back to them on a later date. Let's take a look at another possible connection. Now, this one I have spent an exorbitant amount of time going through arrest records in Spokane and surrounding cities, and it's hard to find anything. But I finally went back to the area where they grew up, and that is going to be over in Skamania, Washington, which is just south of Seattle and Tacoma, which, is an interesting area for me in this case. So when I dive into the arrest records and the court records in Skamania, of course, the brother of one of the fathers of the victims in the atrocity, he really sticks out, and not just sticks out because he's currently in prison for unaliving somebody, but he sticks out because he was apparently a terror his entire life. He has so many major charges. He's been in and out of prison, for a major portion of his life. Even at one point going as far as his mother and his father had to get restraining orders put against him. Very serious individual right here. And with him spending the majority of his life in the penitentiary, well, then that is a possible connection that we've talked about before. But after going through hundreds and hundreds of cross-reference arrests and court records, I have literally taken all 28 members of that group that was arrested, that they call them the Aryan family. Now, when you really dive in deep to that group, you'll notice that, a good portion of those people that were arrested were Hispanic. So when you talk about an Aryan family, I don't think this family was that close, if you know what I mean. I think it was a lot of associates, maybe to an Aryan family center. But after going through every single one and their arrest records and history, you can see that I have drawn a line from a couple of them to the area of Skamania. So those two, who are a little bit older, they are, they are from that area. So being from that area, and obviously being in prison with the brother of one of the victims, it really starts to paint the picture for an avenue of connection in the atrocity, and especially a connection to the Hex investments, if you know what I mean. But we're going to move on now to the one that I can really expand upon, because she's always the easiest. Okay, so I spent a lot of time in this case investigating the mother here. And most of the time that I spent, though, was investigating all of her many, many, many arrests in Idaho. And I never really dove into her arrests in Washington State. But now, taking a look at her arrests in Washington, well, it began to paint a picture of the lifestyle that she was leading. And then it became very clear how these organizations continue to take advantage of this lady. And when I talk about her, I'm not saying she is a bad person by any means. I'm saying she's fallen into a very difficult lifestyle with addiction, and she leaves herself susceptible to being manipulated by groups such as this. And I'm going to show you how this connection really came about because of the way that she was living her life during this time. And you can see with all of these arrests, a lot of them, we got 1, 2, 3, 4 of them in Spokane, Washington. So obvious connection there. But then you'll notice there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 arrests in Airway Heights, Washington, which is just on the west side of Spokane. Now, in those arrests, she usually has multiple charges of theft and trespassing. Almost every occasion, she'll have a combination of several theft charges accompanied by a criminal trespass. And after diving into those and looking at the area, it became clear what has happened in this case. And you can see this is from 2019 all the way up until 2024, folks. It never really stopped. And I'm just going to dive into a couple of these arrests just to show you, because they're almost all the same. And you can see here, this is December 1st, 2023. And she has a criminal trespass in the first degree. And it's telling because the arrest was by the Kalispell Tribe Police Department. Okay, this is a tribal police department. And you have a tribal police department whenever you are on Indian land, and you're on Indian land when you're in a Indian casino that's built on Indian land. Almost all of her first degree criminal trespass charges come from the same Indian casino. And then above that, you're going to see theft in one of these arrests, and that was in January of 2024. She hasn't spent much time incarcerated, folks. She's been out, and this is what she's been doing. So 3 counts of theft. Now, those are all from a Walmart. And all of these arrests are criminal trespass from this casino and theft from the Walmart down the road. So let me tell you what's happening here. It's my humble opinion that Miss CK, poor Miss CK, in the middle of her addiction, she goes to Airway Heights, Washington, just on the other side of Spokane, and she gets her narcotics. And then to spend her time, once she has obtained her narcotics, she goes to a casino. But you see, what happens is after a while in a casino, when you're living this lifestyle, you run out of money. So then she comes to this Walmart right here, just down the road, and she goes in and she shoplifts several items. Now, a lot of the Walmarts still have policies where you can return merchandise without a receipt. So once she's successfully shoplifted those items, she will then go right back in, or she'll have somebody with her that'll go back in and return those items and get $30, $40, $50, $60 in cash. She'll then take that cash right back up to the casino and gamble it until it's gone and repeat the process. She's probably successful doing this a lot of the time. But then the times that she's not successful, well, we see the arrest records for those when we look at theft of property. And here is what she does when she leaves this Walmart. You can see this is the Walmart in Airway Heights right here. And she frequents it, but then she'll leave once she has shoplifted and returned the items and got her some cash. And then she just heads up this little road right here. And whoops, went too far to the left here. Let's see. Let's get back over here. Here we go. All right, so we continue to head up this road, looks like north. And just a few blocks away from this Walmart is her desired destination. Now, what happens in this desired destination, though, is probably on more than one occasion, she has caused a ruckus in this casino due to, I can imagine, possibly, alcohol consumption along with the narcotics abuse that she's doing. So she gets unruly and the casino asks her to leave. After they do that a few times, then the casino puts you on a banned list. But she's pretty stubborn. She apparently doesn't adhere to their banned list. Here's the casino right here. Because she keeps going back, and that's how she keeps getting arrested by the tribal police for criminal trespass, because she's not supposed to be in this casino, obviously. Wow, nice casino, big one here. And it's called the Northern Quest Resort and Casino. So, yeah, pretty nice place. Look at here. A couple of stores. There's quite a bit to this one. No wonder she likes to come here, because this is apparently a pretty nice place. Let's see here. And what's going on up here? Is this more of the casino? Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, this is a huge casino. So this is the type of casino where you can bet that all kinds of things go down in the trafficking world, because it's located right there off of Interstate 90 just before you get into Spokane. So this would be a hub of transfer. Now, here's what's interesting about this casino, and that Walmart for that matter. Let's go back down here to the front of this casino real quick. But yeah, right there off of I-90, that high-intensity drug trafficking corridor. And this is a kind of a secluded stop right before you get into Spokane. And casinos are notorious for cash from trafficking operations. So, and they're also an excellent meeting place, because you can go in and act like you're just, there to gamble and meet whoever it is that you're supposed to be meeting. And you've got hotel rooms, restaurants. I mean, it's just the perfect hub. And they have their own police department, so you don't have to worry about outside law enforcement agencies really keeping an eye on you, because they don't have jurisdiction. It's Indian land, so the tribal police govern everything in the casinos. And, they have a tendency to look the other way. But as we go a little bit further down the road here from the casino, let's see what else this little town has to offer. It's not a very big town, but it does have an airport, and it does have a very large casino, and it's got a Walmart. And you can see it's got quite a bit of housing. This is probably for residents of that casino that work at that casino, and probably for the residents who work at this industrial looking complex over here. I wonder what this is. There's a pretty big building. Looks like some type of, this is for receiving, some kind of receiving building. I wonder what they're receiving for there. Huh. Let's see what's going on around the corner here. What is this little town hiding from us? Let's see here. Look, you can rent a scooter right on the road. Whoa, look at that. What is that, a mall? Is that some type of, is that a college? What is this? Huh. We've got a casino, and right down the road we got a college. Look at this. What is this? It's like, oh, wait a minute. Is that razor wire? Well, that's a big fence with razor wire, isn't it? Well, that's a huge facility. Oh, what is this? That's not the airport. Goodness. Whatever it is, it's not messing around, is it? Let's take a look. All right, let's see here. What have we got here? What's over here? Nothing? Well, there's nothing around this thing, is there? What does this say? This is Sprague Avenue. A something CC parking. My eyes aren't that good anymore. Oh, it won't let us go in here. Huh. Wonder what it is. Interesting. Let's see. Well, they got a lot of razor wire going around this thing, don't they? Look at the size of this. What is this? There's American flag, Washington flag. Oh, wait a minute. What? Airways Heights Correction Center. Oh my goodness, it's the penitentiary. You have got to be kidding me. Right there is the penitentiary. And look at the size of this thing. You know what? I bet you they house inmates. Goodness. Let's just get, woo, look at these cars. Yep, I bet you they, whoa, that's a place right there, folks. Look at all those different yards. Huh. Yeah, my goodness. That is a penitentiary. Okay, so what's it doing right there in town, huh? So we have the Walmart right here where she steals her money, steals her products and gets her money. Then we have this extravagant, very large, very uniquely placed casino complex that she likes to spend her time at, and I'm sure connect with the people that she connects with, even though she's not supposed to do that anymore. And they're both conveniently located just a couple of blocks from each other. But you see, here's the problem when you get a scenario like this in a secluded little town right on the interstate, right before a major city. And in this little town, you've got this nice casino complex right down the road from the little Walmart. But then just a few blocks away, you've got one of the state penitentiaries and all that it brings with it right there as well. So this is the recipe that a lot of the prison gangs that are operating outside of the prison walls now, they utilize areas like this to further their operations. You see, people that come to town and want to communicate with the people in that prison go to that casino. The guards that are paid off to pass messages leave that prison and go to that casino. Everybody that goes in that casino is a potential target for enlisting in their trafficking operations. So how would she get tied in with an Aryan family trafficking organization? Well, folks, she's right there in the Bermuda Triangle of tied in. Now, some of those things I was able to find weren't very hard to figure out, obviously. Some of those things literally took me days and days and days of, constantly searching, comparing arrest records, court records, vetting scenarios. Went through a lot just to get that information. But of course, I progressed significantly past that, but I have to keep you apprised at all stages of this thing as I go. And again, I will continue to go until I've nailed this thing, or until I feel like I've nailed this thing to the wall. But please like and subscribe to the channel. Post your comments, thoughts, criticisms. I'm going to continue to work on part 5 to sum up my 5-part series. That one, again, I need to have that one presented in the proper way to be able to wrap that series up properly. So continuing to work on that. I'll get it to you as soon as I can. I'm hoping to get it to you Sunday. But until next time, Pavarotti is out.